The movie opens in a town named Jewel City, Illinois, where a little girl named Veronica Calder is seen taking classes, and we see an explosion happening in the sky. Her panicked mother rushes her to their car, and several people standing nearby try to rush to their homes to safety. Here we are informed that there was a huge explosion at Dr. Martin Steiner's Ashburn Laboratories in Chicago, which killed countless people within the radius of 50 miles. From then on, ghostly specters of the event's victims begin haunting the world as non-sentient remnants, who briefly repeat certain actions at daily intervals. The scene takes us 10 years later, and we are now introduced to a grown-up Veronica who lives with her mother, Mrs. Calder. Although their life has been turned upside down after Mr. Calder died in the incident that happened 10 years ago, they have been trying to cope up with their life. Every morning during breakfast, the remnant of her father sits at their table reading his usual newspaper, and both she and her mother have to ignore his presence every single day. The incident has also changed everyone's life in that area, and people are accustomed to seeing remnants roaming around them. While in class, we are introduced to her teacher, Professor August Bittner. He teaches us the 3 laws about remnants. Law 1, they are not sentient. Law 2, they can't alter their imagery, meaning that remnant appear to do the same thing at the same time every day, just like a movie reel being replayed. And the last, but not the least, Law 3, remnants cannot affect the natural world. This means that they can neither interact with humans nor touch non-living things. He adds that remnants are attracted to the places and people who have emotional significance to them, and hence they appear and repeat their actions in loops. Post their class, we are also introduced to Kirk Lane, who has a bad reputation in college due to being expelled from his previous college for some unknown reason. And although both she and her friend Janine have a crush on him, neither of them are brave enough to approach him due to his reputation. Back at home, Veronica starts skating on ice and reminisces about her childhood when her father used to teach her how to skate. This tells us just how much she misses her father. Next day, while taking a shower, she sees a half-naked man standing inside her bathroom, and this makes her fumble in fear, and she falls down while wrapping the shower curtains around herself. To add to her shock, she sees him write the word, "run," on the steam mirror, and post a few seconds he vanishes. She is both shocked and panicked by this incident as remnants are not capable of affecting the real world. Next day at school, she tries to solve the mystery behind the cryptic message left behind by the remnant, but all of a sudden her ear starts bleeding. To understand the meaning of the strange happenings, she visits Professor Bittner's home, and there, she meets with his daughter Eva. She discusses the recent happenings with him, but he brushes off her concerns, stating that she has hit her head while taking a shower and hence is afraid of a remnant. He adds that although remnants look real, they can neither communicate nor affect the real world, and hence her fears are baseless. Still skeptical about the explanation, she follows Kirk to get more answers, and this leads her to an old rundown shelter. But he catches her spying on him, and hence she has no choice but to explain herself. She explains to him that she has been troubled by a remnant and wants to know more about him, and this is when Kirk urges her to follow his lead. He leads her inside the shelter, and soon a large number of remnants of fish appear and seem to be swimming in the air. There are so many that neither of them managed to count. Kirk adds that in the previous month there were only 16 of them, but their number gradually increased, hinting to us that the laws regarding remnants are not always true. She pleads for his help in solving her situation, and although initially hesitant, he agrees to come to her aid. To add to the weird happenings, Veronica calls the unknown remnant, Brian, and hence the duo start researching about him. They soon find out that he was a serial killer and had killed a woman named Mary Greer, who was the daughter of a pastor. The duo take help from a friend and create a device that can capture the image of Brian. As expected, Brian reappears at a fixed time and upon seeing that he is being recorded, tries to attack Kirk and Veronica, but vanishes before he can do so. To uncover more about the murder, they visit Mary's mother, and she informs them that Brian had stalked her daughter while on college campus and had successfully entered into a relationship with her. Taking advantage of her trust, he lured her to a secluded place and took her life. The very next day, cops found his body in a motel, pointing to the fact that he took his own life after committing the crime. Veronica is taken aback by this revelation but continues her research, and to her shock finds out that she and Mary share the same birth date, which is February 29th. This means that they have very little time in hand as her birthday is only 48 hours away. That night post-dinner, she and Kirk have a heart-to-heart conversation. Veronica opens up about her past and narrates the incident of the fateful day 10 years ago. That day, she had an argument with her father, and this got him late for work. To save time, Mr. Calder had taken his car instead of the train and was traveling to work via the freeway, and as the freeway was closer to the site of explosion, he met his untimely demise. Till date, she blames herself for her father's death and has never been able to move on. Kirk also opens up about his life and reveals to her that he has been studying about remnants as he wants to know why his father never shows up, even though he was killed on that fateful day. Their pain brings them closer, and they almost kiss, but get interrupted by her mother, who came to wish her good night. But her troubles are far from over. Just after a few minutes of falling asleep, she has a nightmare, in which she sees her window open, and as soon as she closes it, Brian tries to grab her through the window, making her jolt backwards and fall on the floor. To her horror, the floor cracks, plunging her into freezing cold water. There she sees Mary's ghost and also sees the signboard, "Darkness Falls." She gives off a loud scream, and this eventually breaks the nightmare, thereby waking her up. That morning, while Kirk and Veronica are having breakfast, Mr. Calder's ghost appears, and this is when Kirk notices something unusual. Despite losing his life 10 years ago, he was reading a newspaper which was only 8 years old. Using his quick thinking, Kirk notes down the names of 2 women mentioned in the newspaper who were killed in an unnatural way. The names were Claire White and Emma Shaw. Not wasting any time, she searches the internet and finds out that Claire's sister owns a cafe near their city, and hence, they decide to pay her a visit. There, the duo learns that Claire was strangled to death, and detectives had also found traces of lead polymer near her deceased body. She gives them the location of her death, but warns that it is located in the no-go zone, meaning that it is the same place where the explosion occurred 10 years ago. Undeterred by her warnings, the duo decide to go to that place and watch Claire's remnant die in front of their eyes, in the hopes that they will find a useful clue about Brian. Upon reaching there, Veronica sees the signboard, "Darkness Falls," and this reminds her of the nightmare which she saw recently. They enter the place and soon see numerous remnants, carrying out their daily activities, as if they are in a time loop. Before long, they locate the infamous Ashburn building, where the weird experiments were conducted, which led to the explosion. Upon entering the building, they are joined by several other men who had also come to see the final moments of Claire's life. As expected, Claire's remnant appears, and we see how mercilessly her assailant had dragged her to an elevated place. She did try fighting back, but was no match for her predator. Eventually, she gets strangled to death, and although the culprit is not visible in front of their eyes, the act alone is enough to bring tears to her eyes. As soon as her remnant disappears, Kirk spots Dr. Martin Steiner, the man who was hired by the government to run the Ashburn facility. But before they could approach him, he tries to flee the place. A chase ensues and Steiner eventually stops and pulls out a gun. He threatens to shoot both of them, but Veronica has little to lose, and hence pleads to him for help. She urges him to help her as he is the cause of the creation of the remnants. Finally, a guilt-ridden Steiner finally agrees to help. He opens up about all the secrets of his work and tells them that the government had hired him to create a doorway between life and death. It is like a portal using which they could bring back a deceased individual into the body of a living individual. To achieve success, they experimented on a lot of humans and pushed them to near-death conditions. But on that fateful day, a major fault occurred in their systems, leading to the catastrophic explosion. Kirk picks up a picture lying nearby and keeps it with him for future use. Post-hearing this, Veronica informs him about Brian and asks him how a remnant can interact with the real world, to which he replies that the laws about remnants are all lies, and those are put in place so as to keep the general masses in darkness. He informs them that Brian is trying to make up for his wrongdoings and is taking advantage of a phenomenon called spectral interference. Using this technique, he can bring back his dead girlfriend into the body of an alive woman. But for this to happen, both the women must have the same birth date. This makes it clear to us why Brian is after Veronica. Post saying this, he unalives himself as he can no longer bear the burden of his guilt. Back at college, 2 detectives make Kirk open his locker, and to his shock, find a firearm inside it. Hence they take him into custody, and Veronica, is left completely speechless. Next, she confides in Professor Bittner, and he promises to help her after learning the truth about Brian. They plan to secure the panic room in his house with metals so that no remnant can enter it. Kirk, on the other hand, is released by the detectives, and he wastes no time and searches the web using the picture he took from Ashburn Lab. To his shock, he discovers that Bittner was a colleague of Steiner. This means that he too must have some sinister motives. Kirk tries to call Veronica, but she is unreachable, and hence he drives to Bittner's home. Upon reaching there, he spots Eva, and to his horror, discovers that she too is a remnant. In a flashback, we are shown that on the day of the explosion, she was inside the lab and had failed to enter the safety vault in time, and hence had perished in front of her father's eyes. Unfortunately, Kirk's phone drops and the sound alerts Bittner about his presence. He sneaks behind Kirk and knocks him out using a shovel. He then proceeds to bury him alive near his house and returns to Veronica inside the panic room, as if nothing has happened. After a few hours, a piece of lead suddenly comes off, and in the process of fixing it, she cuts her hand. When asked about the material used, Bittner replies that it is lead polymer, immediately reminding her about the presence of lead polymer near Claire's deceased body. The reality finally dawns on her that it is Bittner who is the real threat, and the scar on his forehead proves his struggle with Claire. She tries to leave the house in the pretext of going to the washroom, but Bittner denies her exit. This forces her to push him away and flee the room. But he was not about to give up. Just as she was about to exit the house, he grabs her by the hair and slams her to the floor. He adds that Brian was the one who tried to help her, and it was Bittner who had killed Brian and the other girls. He also admits to framing Kirk by keeping the firearm in his locker. His motive was to bring his daughter back to life, and hence, he is going to do the same with her. At this critical point of time, Mr. Calder appears, and this distracts him for a few seconds, giving her the chance to strike back and run outside. Bittner chases her, and they soon end up in a lake covered in ice sheets. He tries to choke her to death, but using her quick thinking, she stomps her foot, breaking the ice, and plunging both of them into the ice-cold water. He still does not release her, and this is when Brian appears from the depths and tries pulling her to the surface. But an adamant Bittner grabs hold of her leg, and we see Veronica running out of breath. Luckily, the remnant of Mary appears in the nick of time and drags him to the bottom of the lake, thereby ending his life and completing her revenge. The remnant of Brian takes her to the surface and disappears after a few seconds. Free from Bittner, an exhausted Veronica tries to climb out of the water, and this is when she sees the spirit of her father, who asks her not to blame herself for his death. He adds that if she ever needs him, he will be in her heart. Kirk soon appears and drags her out of the water and warms her using his coat. To our surprise, he reveals to her that his father is the one who had rescued him from that grave, and after a long time, he was able to see the remnant of his father. Both of them hug each other in relief, and this marks the end of their struggle. Post that day, Mr. Calder never appeared, and in the final moments of the movie, we see the duo embark on a journey to teach the world about the truth of remnants. Thank you for watching. If you liked this recap, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And please don't forget to check out the other videos on the channel.